What is correct? I like my administrators. It is Renelsi, and I am back with some more Enfield. Today we're going to be talking about the gacha, and it sounds a little complicated at first, but we'll get through it. So, before we get into that, I would like to invite you all to please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I am enjoying this game quite a bit so far. I really could see this being amazing on the channel. But I did think that it would be good to explain how the gacha works. That way you all know, because I was a little confused myself, and I just read everything and I'm like, okay, it makes sense now. But without further ado, let us get right into it. Alright, so there are 3 rarities in this game. There's 6-star, 5-star, and 4-star. 6-star is going to be the ones you're pulling for, obviously. It's the shiny character that you want, right? So there's 2 types of summons in this game, right? There is the standard pool, which is... let's go over there. I guess there's technically 3 if you count the starter. Is this is the starter right here. 40 pulls, you get your 6-star character, whichever one it is, I don't know. Then you get a free weapon as well. Then there is the standard pool, which is these 5 characters. It's Ardelia. I'm just gonna call him Pog. I'm not gonna try to talk about this guy's name right now. Last Right, Ember, and Lifong. Those standard characters. And then there is the ones that you guys are probably all interested in. Limited banners. So in this game, they call the limited banners, I believe it's chartered, or chartered rather. And let's double check on that just to be sure. I believe it's called chartered. But that basically means that that's the limited banner, which is the one that you guys are gonna all be caring about, myself included. Makes sense. Wherever it is. Yeah, so right here, chartered. So this means that it is the limited banner. So I'm just gonna keep calling it limited. I mean, it's the same thing as chartered, but for sake of ease, we're gonna call it limited. Alright, so back to the 3 rarities in this game, right? There's the 6-star characters, which are at a 0.8%, which is pretty, standard for the industry. 5 stars, or otherwise called your 4 stars, which, are going to be fairly useful, I presume. At least right now they will be. They're 8%. And then the 4 stars, which honestly I'm a little curious how they're going to play outside of the beginning of the game. They're at 91.2%. So if you guys do the math, it adds up to 100%. Pretty obviously. There's that. In terms of pity, I suppose I'll just show it this way. So right here, if you look at the Leviathan, I hope I'm saying her name right. You guys can yap at the comments at me if I say it wrong, but I'm calling her Leviathan. Leviathan? I don't know. Leviathan for now. So top right says 80 attempts to get a 6-star character, which that's the rate up character. She's a 6-star. And then every 10 pull you get a 5-star or better character. So pretty much that means that pity is at 80, which is pretty standard for, again, the industry, pretty standard. Soft pity starts at 65 pulls. Once you get to 65 pulls, it increases by a 5% chance for each pull that you do, and this resets once you get a 6-star. And then once you get to hard pity, at 120, you just get the character. It just gives it to you for free. However, something to note, once you get this 120 for the character guaranteed, right? You can't get this again until the banner ends. And what it'll do is once the banner ends, it'll reset. So the next character coming out, at least if this is to be believed right here, right? So this list right here. So Leva, I'm gonna call her that for now. Leva is the first character here. Gilberta is the second one, and then Yvonne is the third. So the way I understand it, once Yvonne... my bad, wrong name. Once Leva and her banner are done, it's Gilberta. So let's say you spend 120 pulls to get Leva because you love her, or whatever, so you get her. Now, you can't get her with the guarantee anymore, you just have to kind of test your luck until that point, Once Gilberta comes out, this 120 refreshes, and then you can get Gilberta guaranteed. So the way it seems is that your hard pity is at 120, and then after that, it's just you gotta test your luck, right? something else to note, it's not like fully like, oh, you just gotta pull the character. How it works is once you get the character at 120 or before, I presume this goes away once you get the actual character. So let me double check on that really quickly. I believe it is a little further down. So one thing is that the guarantees do carry over. I'm just gonna say that right now. I don't know where else I would fit this in, but the guaranteed, or you know, any of the other, your pulls count towards the next banner, like the industry. So that's pretty standard. So this is what we're talking about with the 120. You can only get the character one time, but once you get it, it only resets on the next banner that comes out. In this case, it'll be Oroberyl, since we're talking about Leva. And right here, so for every 240 pulls, you get a Leva token, which is the duplicates. There is a maximum of 6 copies that you need, because it's the main copy, and then the 5 that you need to max out the character. I mean, I don't know how relevant dupes are going to be in this game. We'll see with time. But industry standard would say that you pretty much just need 1 copy until they are irrelevant or just not as good anymore. Okay, so right here with the 120, I'm glad I double checked this because, you know, let's not assume stuff, right? So once you hit the 120, like I said, it does reset when the banner ends. So in this case, you get Leva, and then you flip over to Gilberta's banner. Gilberta now has that 120. However, the 120 does not carry over to other banners. So what this would mean, let's just say you want 1 copy of the character. Wait until their banner comes out, have 120 pulls, get them there. Obviously, saving in these games is generally a very good idea, good thing to do. But in this game, it seems to really reward you for having 120 pulls just on deck. We'll see how... what's the word? We'll see how generous the game is as it goes on. But just as a general tip, if you want the character, and you really want the character, like, let's just say I really want Yvonne, right? I do. But we're early in the game. I'm going to be able to get enough pulls for Yvonne anyway. Oh, I can also just start... No, whatever. Anyway. 120 pulls. You get the character. It resets every time the new character comes out. And then each attempt towards the 120 does not save. It counts up until 80, but it doesn't count up until 120. You could think about the 120 as a loyalty system instead of pity. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the difference between the two, but I mean, pretty clear. Loyalty is just staying with that one banner until you get something for staying with the banner. So general tip, just hold 120 pulls, you know. If you really want that specific character, hold 120. If you don't, alright, go ahead and just pray for your 50-50, I guess, but you know, you better hope that you win that. So yeah, that's what I wanted to say with that. And then I believe I already... Okay, so pretty much the 6 stars, like I said, it's a 50-50, or it can be the other rate up character, or off rate up characters. So in this case, right, the 5-star or 6-star characters rather that are not featured and are just in the pool, I'll call them 50-50 lost characters, because that is specifically the ones that you probably don't want to get, right? Because you're summoning for a specific one, you don't want these ones. So Pog, Last Rite, Ardelia, Lifang, and Ember, those are the 5 that you arguably do not want to get. They're all going to be good right now because the game just came out basically today, right? So you're certainly going to want a copy of them, probably because the game's new, but you know, in the future, you see those 5, you're going to be like, oh, not them again. But something interesting, so Leva's here. She is the 50-50, you know, she's the one that you want. She's on rate up. Gilberta and Yvonne are also here. There is the chance that you lose the 50-50 on Leva, and you can get either Gilberta or Yvonne. Gilberta and Yvonne, from what I understand, are both limited characters. So this introduces something interesting, where you can lose the 50-50, but get the one of the other two characters that are going to be on rate up in the future, which is interesting to note. Again, I don't think I'd recommend rolling a 50-50 with the 80 pulls. I would recommend just saving the full 120 if you want that character. But it's something interesting to note. Let's say you're like me and you want Yvonne pretty badly, and you don't want to wait, I don't know. We don't know how long the banners are going to be. To my knowledge, we don't. But Leva's here is only for 15 days at the top right, if you'll see. Middle right, whatever. We have 15 days here. My understanding is that it's either going to be the 21 days like Hoyo does it, or it'll be, you know, the 15 days, 14 days. Point is, Yvonne is not anywhere near, right? Even if it is 2 weeks, she's a full month out from now. That's like late February before she's even here. So there is the interesting option where if you really just cannot wait, you could gamble and try to get either Gilberta or Yvonne on a 50-50 loss. Take that as you will. You can either do that or not, but I have the recommendation to just save your 120, get them there, wait for their specific banner, get them there. So it just seems like it'll be very interesting. It's like they'll drop the limited characters in waves of 3. However, once they're not on rate up, they'll just flip into the 50-50 loss pool for a little bit, and then they'll leave. So obviously, yeah, you want to get them when their specific banner is out. However, the option is there to, like, oh, you missed on Leva, like you didn't have enough pulls, but now you have enough when Yvonne comes out. There is the chance to just get Leva on a 50-50 loss. I think that's a cool feature. But since they're doing it this way, it kind of seems like they're going to be every 3 characters are going to be dropping in like a batch, and then they'll be keeping it this way. So another thing I want to talk about right here. I don't think I talked about this in depth pretty much, but you know, the Leva's here. Her banner's out right now, right? Gilberta's next. So what happens, like I said, 50-50 win, you get Leva. 50-50 loss on Gilberta's banner, you could potentially get Leva. Now it's Yvonne's banner. Gilberta goes into the 50-50 loss, and Leva's still there. Now, once the next batch of characters drops, I presume they're going to do this in triples, like I said. If they do it this way for the foreseeable future, which, like, they introduced this feature, why would they change it? Leva now leaves this pool, right? So now what happens is, let's just, I don't know, a new character comes out. Let's call her, I don't know, I'm just calling a fake character's name. Let's call her Luvia, right? Luvia comes out. And now what happens is Luvia's rate up banner, and now Gilberta and Yvonne are on the 50-50 loss pool. And then Rin comes out after Luvia. Luvia goes into the 50-50 loss pool. Gilberta leaves us behind. And then Yvonne comes in the 50-50 loss pool. Or she stays there. And then that third character that would be dropping after that, now Yvonne's gone. It's just Rin, Luvia, and then whoever the third one is. I could say Rhinus. That's how it works. I know that might be a little confusing. It was hard for me to wrap my head around this, but there's the picture right there if you want to see it. But this is a cool way to do it. You can miss the character banner and still potentially get them. This is interesting. So, I'm sure you guys will gamba and we'll get all these nice clips of you guys. Oh, I want freaking Yvonne, but she's not on rate up yet. Oh, there she is. But there you go. All right. So another interesting thing. So this bottom right, 30 headhunting attempts to get a free urgent recruitment. What this is, right? It's 30 pulls in, right? You get a free 10 pull, but it's only usable on this banner right here. So let's say you pull 30 times for Leva. You get a free multi for Leva specifically. This does not go towards pity, however. It's just a free multi. So you can think about it that way. It's like a bonus. So instead of You get 3 for the price of 1. I believe this only goes 1 time though. I don't think it's every time. The way it read is that it was only 1 time only. I could be wrong. Which is why we'll double check right now. It's pretty far down there. Yeah, see right here, it doesn't say that it repeats, which makes me think that it's only the 1 time, because it would probably say if it repeats. If it repeats and it doesn't say so, sick. We get another free 10 pull, right? But if it doesn't, it's still nice. It's an extra 10 pull for no reason. They just felt like it. Because why not? Pretty cool. Yeah, drop rates are the same in this free multi, so everything's the exact same, besides the fact that it doesn't count towards pity. That's basically the only difference. And then once you do 60 pulls, there's this thing called the Headhunting Dossier. What that does, right? Once you get it, once you do those 60 pulls, it'll send that Headhunting Dossier to your valuable stash. And then what happens is when the next limited banner is out, this Headhunting Dossier will turn into a 10 pull for that specific banner. So let's say we're summoning on Leva's banner right now, right? You do 60 pulls, you get this thing, it goes into your stash. Gilberta comes out, you get a free 10 pull for Gilberta, but it has to be used on Gilberta. It goes away if you do not use it on her. So just, again, if you have the special 10 pull, just use it, right? You're not gonna be doing yourself bad. Unless you want to keep pity, but you know, that's not how it works. And another, like, there's a lot of information here, so we'll just, you know, we'll go in phases. Arsenal tickets right here, right? After you get a 6-star, it gives you 2,000 tickets. So this can be any 6-star in the game. You get 2,000 tickets for them, or just for getting a 6-star. Getting a 5-star, so you're gonna get this every multi. You get a 5-star character, and then you get 200 of these Arsenal tickets. So pretty much, let's say you go to a 50-50, you'll have, I believe it's 1,600. It's 80. Or 8 pulls, rather. So it's 8 10 pulls, right? You get 1,600 Arsenal tickets for that. However, you'll be getting more because you have the 4-stars in there as well. But if you get a 4-star, it's 20 per. So I guess in a multi, right? Let's just say you get a min roll, which, you know, you're probably gonna get that most of the time. You get 9 4-stars and then the 1 5-star. So that would mean that you get 180 from the 4-stars, and then the 5-star gives you another 200. So you get 380 per multi, basically. And what this does is you're just summoning on the banner. It just gives you these Arsenal tickets. What this will do for you is you go to the Arsenal Exchange at the bottom left right here. And you'll see right here the Forgeborn Scath. It requires almost 2,000. It's this, right? So what this is this is Leva's weapon, right? So you can think about it as like a limited weapon. I don't know if weapons are specifically limited. We'll have to find out with time. Point is, this is Leva's weapon, and you just get these things by doing summons. We have 1140 currently, but let's just say you get a 6-star. Let's just say it's not even Leva, you just get a 6-star. You get 2,000 of these, you get to get a 6-star weapon for free. So, what this means, people, is that you only ever need to worry about summoning for the character. I fucking love that. Can we get a round of applause? Let's get a round of applause for Enfield. I love that, man. I hate having to summon for weapons in these games, so the fact that they changed it so that you don't even need to freaking do it is freaking awesome. So that's really cool. Also, what this can do, right? Since you're just building up these things, right? You can just save these Arsenal tickets for maybe, let's say we get Yvonne, but we don't get her weapon for some reason. I don't know why this would be the case, because we just get Yvonne, we can pull her weapon in the same time, right? Let's say for whatever reason you don't get the weapon, you can just wait for it to come back here, and then you just pick it up here. But it's a free weapon with the character. So unless you I guess one thing you could do is, let's say you lose the 50-50 and it's for a character you just don't care about. You just hold this for the character that you do care about. Boom, there you go. And there's other weapons in here too. Like this Grand Division is 2480 of these things. I don't know who specifically this one's for, but point is it's there. Other 5-star weapons are here as well. Then there's a 4-star weapon if you really want to, but you ain't gotta. Something also, I believe the 8 more issues is talking to us about just being able to do 8 more pulls, and then we just get that many. So that's cool, because it tells you how far out you are. And there's other 6-star weapons in here as well. I believe this one would be Yvonne's by the looks of it. It's pink, you know, she's a pink character. Anyway, that's not a big deal. Point is that this is really cool. You just get a 6-star, you just pick whatever weapon you feel you want. Obviously, weapons are going to be better than others, but the fact is, you just get the character, and that's all you need. Really freaking cool. I would applaud them for that again, but we have to move on. Alright, so next, I think we're nearing the end. I know it's a lot of information, people, but like I said, this is a lot of information. Okay, so next we're going to be talking about the bond quota. I believe that goes over into... Hold on. I'm using this to... Okay, so the quota exchange, it's this shop right here. I know there's probably another way to get there, that's just how I chose to get there. What is interesting about this, right? Do you see these chartered permits? These are your limited pulls, okay? You need 25 of these bond quotas to get a pull. Unlimited amount of them, so that's cool. It's just in there. Other stuff is in here as well, like you have Avunya right here as well, 5-star character. I mean, you know, I don't really use these types of shop, so that, you know, it's pretty much like your Hoyo stuff. Like, you just get this for getting dupes. In terms of dupes that you're getting, a 6-star duplicate. So this basically, let's say we get a Leva and we get another Leva, we get 50 bond quota from getting the second one, not the first one. And then when you get a duplicate of a 5-star character, you get 10 of these things. So basically every 3 5-star dupes, you get a free pull. You can think about it that way. And then in the event that you get a dupe with a 6-star, you get 2 free pulls just for getting that dupe. So pretty standard stuff, but it is nice to have. Like I said, this is dupes. And then AIC quota. We don't know exactly how this is gonna work exactly, because there's the limited pull, or the banner specific pulls right here with the Firewalker. This is specifically for Leva. There's only 5 of these in here, but you use AIC quota to get these things, and there's only 5 in there. So how you get these? You have to max out characters. If you max out a 6-star character, you get 10 endpoint quotas, which we'll get to. That's the last thing we're talking about with the quota exchange. And then a 5-star max character, you get 20 AIC quota, and then maxed 4-star character, you get 5 AIC quota. And it takes 70 to get these banner specific pulls, I'll call them. But you only get these if you max out characters, so just note that. And it seems like it's limited to... I mean, okay, so these ones specifically, right? These are Levas, and then, you know, every character that gets a rate up in the future will be getting these for them. They only last as long as the banner itself is active. So just, if you got it, use it. Otherwise, you lose it, you know? Other stuff is in here as well. You guys will see. But, generally speaking, I like pulls. I like pulling. So I'm going for this stuff personally. Okay, now we're talking about the endpoint quota stuff. Like I said, you get these from a max out 6-star character. And essentially what this is a 6-star weapon shop. It's honestly, guys, I don't know if y'all are gonna really be using this one. It's pretty high up there, but it's there. If you want to use it, you can, but you need to max out a 6-star character and get a dupe. So essentially this would mean that, so since there's 6 characters that you would need to pull, right? It's the main one and then 5 more. You need to get 7 copies. So 7th copy or higher, you're going to be getting these. It's a nice feature to have. All right, is anyone going to use it besides the whales? I really don't think so, but it's here. I imagine they'll update this shop eventually as well, but this is what's in here for now. And I believe that is everything. To my knowledge, the only way to get these endpoint quota is specifically from a maxed out 6-star character. I'm not seeing any other ways to do so. I mean, he right here is not saying it either, so I think that's pretty much just a whale shop, right? But that, I believe, is everything that we are talking about today for the gacha. I know there's a lot of information, but with time and with playing the game, you guys will all understand. As I did. Regardless, hope you enjoyed, and I hope this was I mean, it's a little longer. I'm looking at the recording software right now. It's a little longer than I wanted it to be, but I think it should help explain it to a lot of you administrators out there, myself included. Hope you guys enjoyed, and please do not forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe, and we will be back with some more Enfield very, very soon. And I wish all of you to have a very great day, morning, evening, night, whatever you guys are experiencing right now. And I'll see you all in the next video. Laters.